Hi everybody, this is Kate Haley with Glazers. How is everyone doing? It's been at least a week or two since we've done one of these live sessions, and we're excited to be back. Before we get started, I just want to take a moment to tell you a little bit about what is happening at Glazers right now. As you well know, the store is open. We're also available for orders via the internet and much more. I did want to mention, because we're getting some questions about our holiday sale, and we did unfortunately have to make the decision to not do that in-store two-day event that we would normally do around this time of year. However, we have a ton of promotions that we've lined up with our vendors and special promotions that we'll be running in-store over the next 6 weeks. And they went out in a newsletter today. So check your email. If you're not on our mailing list, go sign up. You can do that very easily through our website, glazerscamera.com. But we're going to be sending out newsletters with all sorts of amazing promotions over the next several weeks. And those promotions will be available online or in store. And we're going to also share some tips and tricks, staff picks, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So just keep that in mind as we move into the holiday season, that we're here for you, and we're going to encourage you to shop local, of course. And we do ship all over the US. So if you're like in New York and want to buy from us, like that's cool too. So with that said, today's live presentation, we have Ray Olson from Leica with us. Ray has been in the store off and on for quite a while doing events for us in person. And as we know, we're doing so many of these events online. We're excited to have kind of a first peek at the Leica M10R, but Leica also just announced the new Q2 monochrome. So during this presentation, we'll probably do a little bit on both. So if you guys who are tuning in have questions about either system or Leica in general, feel free to post those in the comments on YouTube or on Facebook, and we'll do some Q&A throughout. Don't be shy. This will be a great opportunity for you to ask Ray all of your Leica questions. We will have a presentation about the M10R. We also have some slides lined up for the Q2 monochrome if you're interested, but this will be pretty loose and a lot of fun. So with that said, I'd love to introduce Ray. And Ray, just tell us a little bit about you and your role at Leica, and then we can dive into your presentation.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm a product specialist at Leica Camera for the Western United States. I've been with the company for only about 4 years, but I've been using Leica products since the mid-'70s. I used to shoot music for a long, long time, and I use a Leica Flex. I still use Leica Flex cameras for my film cameras. Just fantastic stuff. But anyway, so that's primarily what I do. I'm one of the tech guys at Leica. So the questions I get from all over the Western United States with tethering and colors and all kinds of crazy things, you know, it's all fun. It's all fun. So ask questions throughout the presentation, like Kate mentioned. Please just either raise your hand or put something in the chat, or you can unmute yourself if that's possible on your end there, and just dive in and ask a question. So I'm going to share a screen now for the M10R. And basically, I'm going to skip a couple of videos because it turns out we've got no sound in the video, so I'm not going to waste your time watching a video with no sound. So ever since the M cameras came out at Photokina in 1954, the M cameras have been and become a legendary platform for photographers worldwide, from street photographers, photojournalists, some fine art photographers. It's really become the domain of the M cameras. You probably, most of you probably know if you're M owners. The camera is synonymous with precision, optical prowess, robustness. So we've got a legendary range of cameras over the years. There's a whole bunch of cameras in here, from the M's to the R's to the S's to the small compact point and shoots and everything. We've got a little bit of everything over the years. There are over 100 cameras here. We're talking primarily about the current M cameras, which are the M10P, the M10 monochrome, which is brand new to the line too. So these are the two current M cameras, and now we're introducing for the M line, the M10R. We have 40 megapixels with an RGB sensor, so we've got a color sensor now that has the same resolution essentially as the monochrome. These cameras were developed roughly at the same time, but the RGB pattern took a little longer to iron out things that they wanted to tweak a little bit. It's very similar to what we use in the Leica S3 medium format camera as far as the Bayer pattern goes. So it's got incredible low light performance, more than you would expect from a camera that's giving you 40 megapixels. That was always a crutch, was megapixels. As the photo sites get smaller and smaller, it got harder and harder and harder to get really a good light emission from those photo sites. But the new architecture of the sensor is something that really is totally different. I'll go into that in a couple of seconds here, but the body design, if y'all are familiar with, well, like a film camera is number one, but when we went to the M10 platform, we slimmed the camera down. We took the video function of the M240 out of the camera and went to basically having live view available, but not video recording. So without having the video recording in the camera, we were able to bring the body size down because a lot of that part of the body was heat sink for video. So it made it a little bit thicker.
Ray?
Yes.
Quick question. The
Sure.
slide that we're seeing is just talking about like the release of the M3 going back to 1954. I didn't know if there was another slide or if that's what you wanted to highlight right now. Because it sounds like you're talking about something else.
What slide are we on?
We're on, it looks like it was the very first slide.
Oh, we're stuck with M3? All right, let's go back there. Let me go back and...
And I do have a question for you once we get this sorted. So.
Sure. Let me start. I'm going to stop share and go share it again.
Okay, that sounds good.
So let me here.
All right. We'll get this sorted out, folks. Hang on.
Let's see. So we're stuck. You seen this going forward in with the side view on the...
Yeah, I can see that.
With the side view, yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. Let me see what happens. Let me just go to full screen real quick here and see what happens. What happens in full screen? Are we stuck on this slide or is this going forward?
It's the same one.
So your arrow keys aren't moving
All
yet?
right. All right, let me go back to just this and this will work, I guess. I've had some issues sometimes where Zoom just does not want to play.
Okay, if you want to hit on the right side, if you want to hit the format button on the right side, that way you can get a little bit more of your screen real estate back on the little paintbrush looking one. Now, and
if you click it again, it should
yeah,
go
click
away.
it away. Click it again, it should go away.
There we
Perfect.
go. There we go.
Yeah,
Yep.
that'll work. So, all right.
Double click the paintbrush.
Yeah,
I'm not a painter.
I grew up
I'm a photographer.
with painting.
Okay.
So
All right. Okay. All right. So you guys are seeing like this slide with a bunch of cameras on?
Yes. Yes. All the cameras ever.
Now, Kate, you froze. I've got a freeze on Kate.
That's your video freezing. Why don't can you turn your video off for a moment?
Check one.
Can you turn your video off?
Of course, this only happens when you go live. Now you're back live. Do you see the slide with the orange cameras?
You froze for a moment.
All right, we'll just do it this way.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we did. We froze for a second. It's just to keep everybody. It gave you a chance to go get a warm drink. That's what it was. Anyway.
All right. Well, let's talk real quick.
Right.
So maybe you're going to talk about this,
Sure.
But the first question that came in was what is the chip inside the M10R versus, I'm sorry, the 10MR versus the 10MP? Is the main difference the chip, or are there other features? Or are you about to talk about all of that?
They're primarily, it's the sensor.
Okay.
It's an M10P. I mean, all of the M10 cameras now, the M10P, the M10 monochrome, and the M10R are really all the same camera with different sensors.
Okay.
So same functionality of all these cameras.
Okay.
So now we have the new 40 megapixel M10R, which is a big deal for resolution in an M camera. It's the most M we've ever made. And it's basically got the capability of color rendering that we never had before. I'm not hearing you, Katie. You're saying something?
Sorry, Devin and I were talking.
Okay.
Continue.
Oh, okay. I saw you. There's the hand signals going on. It wasn't cut.
I'm gonna turn
Ray,
that video
what are you
off
doing?
so we don't distract you. This video is going away. There we go.
You're wrecking our show. There we go. Hey, there's Kate.
Okay, here we go.
So with this new sensor design, we've been able to increase resolution. And one of the problems usually is when you increase resolution, you gain noise. you gain all kinds of things that you don't want when you increase resolution. So the new sensor design, which really is a brand new sensor from the ground up for both the M10R and the M10 monochrome, they were kind of developed at the same time. There's a new Bayer pattern over the sensor for the M10R, which is very similar to what we're using in the S3 camera. A much more natural looking color balance. Although I thought the 007 was pretty good, but I mean, it really, once you did a custom profile for it, it looks exactly like now what the S3 looks like and what the M10R looks like. So we've been able to get more resolution, have less noise at higher ISOs. And I was talking a little bit about the body design. I think some of you folks know already. It's basically an M10P at the base level, except for the sensor. So the same body haptics, same touch screen, 3-button access on the back, the dial from the M10P. You've got, I mean, the M10 and the M10P, ISO dial on the top, shutter speed dial on the top, focusing ring, everything you could set with the camera off. You don't need to go into any kind of a menu to set those main parameters to make a photograph. So the new sensor technology, I don't think this is going to work as a little video, but it's without sound anyway. But 40.89 million megapixels, so really is the exact number, almost 41 megapixels, but they stuck to 40, which is okay. And ISO performance up to 50,000, better ISO performance than we have in the M10P. And obviously more resolution. It gives us, from a photographer's standpoint, it gives us cropping abilities that we don't really have with with less pixels. You can easily crop into this 100% and still have a huge print. Body is a body design primarily. Silent shutter is the same as the M10P, so M10P, M10 monochrome, and the M10R share the same silent shutter, which is a big deal for anybody that photographs music, whether it be ballet or any kind of an orchestra event or something like that, where you really have to be low key. You can't just have a camera brashing around making a bunch of noise. You're going to be thrown out of the venue. So you need a quiet camera. And this has always been something that the M cameras have been stellar at. Even in the film days, it was one of the quietest cameras that you could have on set. 40 megapixel CMOS sensor, base ISO is 100 ISO, and max is 50,000. Long exposure time has now been kicked up to 16 minutes. So that's a big deal, from 4 minutes. M10 thin body design, silent shutter, the touch display, the double tap. If you want to check focus on something, you can do that easily just by double tapping the back screen in playback. So a lot of this is information I've already touched on. 40 megapixel color sensor. An increased dynamic range, got about a little over 14 stops. You really see the potential. I'm going to go back real quick. This bottom line is you're really seeing the potential of M lenses with the sensor, both new and old. Yeah, if you have older lenses, back to even the screw mount lenses, I've seen some amazing images with screw mount lenses on this camera, where a little bit more of that personality is coming through because of the resolution and the color rendering of this sensor. So you have these neat artistic choices between your classic lenses and your modern lenses, which are state of the art as far as color correction, as far as resolution. So there's some amazing optics and now many choices. So this is basically a shot that they did in Germany in the studio, 100 ISO, 5.6 with the Apo Summicron M, the 50, and a crop. And this is at 100 ISO. Amazing detail. There's one with a building, again, 100 ISO. We're looking at detail and buildings that it's just really amazing from a small footprint camera like this. And then at 6400, there's a 6400 wide open with the Apo Summicron 50 millimeter lens. You've got incredible detail, and anything that looks like grain looks like grain. It's got a really analog look to it. And it certainly does not look like a 6400 speed film would if we had one. So 100 ISO again, f4 outside, 35 Summilux, and amazing detail with what you can get. Same thing again with the product shot in the studio. high ISO or low ISO. It makes no difference. You've got incredible detail all the way around. The dynamic range of the sensor is pretty good. I mean, it's quite amazing what you can actually pull out of the shadows. And that's the big deal really going forward, I think, is, you know, you can expose for the sky and then bring up your shadow detail in Lightroom or capture one, whatever you prefer to use. Again, out to 16 minutes now for long exposure. So anybody that wants to do a long exposure noise reduction is still in place. The only camera that it doesn't exist in now is the SL2. So on the M cameras, you still have a second exposure. If you do a long exposure, you're going to get a second exposure of that same length before you can take another picture. Just keep that in mind. So M lenses as a whole, you've got the entire catalog of M lenses going back to 1954 that are compatible with the camera. There are a couple of lenses they're designed over the years that, you know, like the dual range Summicron falls off the rangefinder because it just doesn't work. It was not designed for this camera body. It was designed for M3s, M2s. So we've got, again, incredible sharpness, great lenses all the way around, from, you know, small lenses like the 28 to Elmerit, the incredible bokeh, and, you know, the planal separation that you have with the 90 Summilux or the 75 Noctilux. There's some really amazing optics out there, as you probably well know. This is another video. I'm going to jump right past it. It's Peter Carver speaking in German about optics. I'd love to show it to you, but since we have no sound, we can't use it. Sorry. The basic specs between the M10 and the M10P and the M10R are basically what you bring into resolution, long exposure, and with the M10P camera, you have the silent shutter that was brought forward with the M10R as well. The buffer is the same size, so you get about 10 shots in the buffer on the M10R, where you get about 22 shots in the buffer on the M10P. So, but it's double the file size. Then some accessories. We could talk about accessories all day long, but there's some cool accessories that we have. Flash units all do high-speed sync. On camera, the SF60 does high-speed sync off camera with the controller. There's a lot of cool stuff there, and then we make all kinds of little accessories that they have in the boutique, like the thumb supports and the hand grips, and, you know, the various, you know, ball and socket heads that we've got, eyepiece corrections, and all kinds of cool stuff there. Plenty of things that they can show you in the boutique. And that's for the presentation part. That's kind of the M10R. Do we have any questions at this point?
Not right now. For you guys who are tuning in, let us know if you have any questions. We got your one question answered so far, Michael. But I know a few more of you are tuning in. So if you do have questions, please let us know. Ray, do you want to take a little bit of time and talk about the Q2, the new monochrome Q2?
I could do that. We have a brand new member of the Q2 family. You seeing that, Kate? Oh, no, maybe not. You seeing that?
Well, we're seeing your old presentation, so you'll want to stop.
All right. Let me stop this and go back again.
Yeah. Too many screens.
I know. It's easier if I could just treat it as a camera. Should go to the iPad.
I see that.
All right, anyway. So it's okay, good. I just want to go full screen with it then. So brand new camera, Q2 monochrome, we just announced on the 10th. So they're just starting to ship now. They're actually going to be in stores soon. I hope you have them on order. It's basically at the root level, it's a Q2. So it's a 47 megapixel sensor. Like the monochrome cameras in general, we've alleviated the red dot on the front. We've gone to a matte black finish on the camera, a new leatherette look on the camera. But aside from that, it is at the heart of the camera is a Q2. Same lens, same battery that we use on the Q2, same as on the SL2, on the SL. Great battery. So that's a good thing. So 47.3 megapixel monochrome sensor. The difference in the two sensors, they're probably very similar at their root, at the base sensor. The micro lenses are different for the monochrome. It has to be calculated different the way monochrome sensors reading without the Bayer pattern. It's possibly even a different depth inside the camera where it focuses properly. So things have to be designed and redesigned for the monochrome sensor. It's not as easy as just ripping the Bayer pattern off and going to town. Wish it was that easy, but it's not. So the same 2817 Summilux, so and the macro mode on it as well. So an amazing combo. Graphically or stylistically, we've gone with all monochromatic tones on the camera, very much like the M10 monochrome. Up to 100,000 ISO now on ISO because of the lack of the Bayer pattern. You have pure luminosity hitting the sensor now, so the camera is doing just that. It's reading that. So you gain information, you gain resolution because there's no interpolation between RGB values, and you gain high ISO noise. You're not gaining noise, but noise reduction is built into it already, just the way they work, the way the monochrome cameras work. Same 3-inch touch display on the back of the camera. Let's see what else we got in here. It's the only full frame monochrome camera on the market, aside from the only autofocus for lack of a better term. It's the only autofocus monochrome camera on the market. Amazing, neat little camera. Hopefully I'll see one in a couple of days. I've seen some pictures from Germany, which are pretty amazing. They've got some same lens. So if you're familiar with the Q2 cameras and the Q camera, same lens that we've been using on all the cameras. So the lens is fantastic. The OLED on the back of the camera now is different. Let me go see this one. The OLED is a little bit different. It's similar to what we're using in the Q2, but you have, obviously, when you're looking at this, you're looking at a grayscale image in the viewfinder, but it can be tinted. So it's still a color OLED. Same thing with the back screen, still a color screen, but it's only used for the JPEGs when you tint your JPEG. So it has a cool toning. You can do a blue tone, you can do a sepia tone, and you can do a selenium. And it's got different levels, and that's just for toning your JPEGs. The profiles are in Lightroom already. I believe Capture One's ready to go as well. OLED, something interesting about the OLED too, when you're talking about monochrome, you've got more depth in an OLED viewfinder than you have in an LCD viewfinder. You can really see your blacks better with OLED than you can with LCD. So that's really changed the way you see things. You still have to expose a little bit on the underexposed side, so you don't blow a highlight. You have to be careful. There's nothing to retrieve. If you're doing all monochrome data, you have no red, green, or blue to pull from to recover highlights. You just have to be careful on your highlights. Same thing with the M10 monochrome. Same construction, same all the way around. UHS 2 cards are really preferable because it's a big file. I mean, it can run on UHS 1 cards, but I would get SD UHS 2 cards. Same thing with most of the cameras nowadays with the big files. 13 stops of dynamic range. We're quoting on this. That's probably a little bit conservative, but that's okay. 10 stops was good enough for Ansel, so 13 I guess is way more than we need. 100,000 ISO, which is increased over what we had with the Q2 color camera, went to 50,000. And now you have a true 4K, 24 and 30 frame per second, including Cinema 4K monochrome video function. So the user interface is the same. The one thing that the camera, for autofocus folks, that it doesn't have, that the Q2 has, is focus tracking. Focus tracking is requires data from the sensor to give you both red, green, and blue all through. You need all 3 channels of color to track focus properly. So without the sensor being able to give us that information, focus tracking has disappeared from the camera. So it's not even part of the menu. So that's the one thing the Q2 does differently. If you're really a focus tracking kind of customer, the monochrome is one of those things that is not going to give you that, because it can't. But you will be able to tone a little bit, like I mentioned. It's pretty cool. Should be able to easily make monstrous prints with this. I've seen from the Q2 camera and from the SL2 cameras 20-foot prints that are mind-blowing. I don't need a print that big, but I mean that's the kind of thing you could do. You can easily do wall-sized prints that you would do for a gallery show or something like that from any one of these sensors nowadays. So basically, it's a brand new sensor from the ground up with the micro lens pattern in place. Same specs essentially as the Q2 as far as everything that the camera does. a big deal as far as I'm concerned. So that's kind of funny. We're finally going to make a full set of 49 millimeter filters. We're going to have a red, green, and an orange filter. And we're working on, they are studying what they're going to do for a red filter. So they're working on that. So we'll see that later on, maybe not this year, but next year. But there are many filters on the market you could use now. Just make sure they're thin enough they don't vignette the 28. So that's the one thing you want to make sure. One thing about a monochrome camera, if you shoot black and white film all the time and you filter, you understand that you have to alter the wavelength as it's coming into the sensor or to the film to change your tonality, to change your contrast. It's what we did with black and white film all the time and still do. So you really have to do that with a monochrome camera as well. If you want a yellow filter effect, which kind of gives you a normal all around color rendering, tonal rendering of color. That's more akin to what we would see with a panchromatic film. And then the green filter is great for portraits. It's great for landscape because it separates greens. It'll also deepen the blue sky. The yellow filter deepens blue sky. The green filter does the same thing. The orange filter will separate warmer tones. It'll brighten its color like orange and flesh tones. You'll get a brighter monochrome image of skin tones, essentially Caucasian skin tones, but you get a very deep blue sky as well. You will, at certain elevations, if you're up in the higher mountain areas, an orange filter is going to give you a black sky. You don't need a red filter at higher elevations, but we're going to come with a red anyway because people use them. So with and without filtrations, I mean, if you folks shoot a black and white film, you know the difference. It's harder to see in these small pictures, but I'm sure all the stores will be doing some photographs, and we're going to distribute some photographs. I believe we have these files to download from the Leica website now that people can look at. There's some proof of performance pictures on the Leica website. Gives you kind of a before and after, no filter, orange filter. A shot with a Q2 both shot with Q2 in the middle there, the color ones, and then they're showing you the different ones on the left with the yellow filter and with the green filter. Same accessories. I'm not going to go through accessories here, I don't believe. It's basically the same accessories.
All right, so perfect timing.
Q2 monochrome at a glance.
Cool. Devin was just talking about maybe we can print some of those samples so that we'd have them available here for people to look at.
That's an awesome idea, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Devin's super smart like that.
All right.
So we did just get another question.
Print. We have to print.
Well, printing
Everybody, we need to print.
We do need to print more for sure. But we're actually going to be doing at least 2 printing demos, although one is going to be kind of crafty, but we have some printing demos planned in December.
Okay.
For making your own holiday cards and stuff like that. So anyhow.
Oh, cool.
We did just get another question in, going back to the M10R. Could you talk about using the M10R with the older M lenses, or just using some of those maybe vintage lenses that people find in and around?
Yeah, sure. The best examples I've seen were some pictures that Antonio shot back east. He's our product specialist back east, or one of the two. And he shot with the 28 Sumeron, which is the newer design of an old lens. That looked pretty amazing. And he shot also with the 50 millimeter Elmar, and which was I think it was a screw mount lens. The one he had was a screw mount lens. So they've got a certain look to them that the modern lenses don't have. The older lenses have aged, obviously. We've got what was probably never calculated in the design on anybody's lens when they made them at first was what is the glue that holds these lenses going to do over the years. It can change color a little bit. Nobody even thought of that. What's the glue going to do 60 years from now? Guys are going, who cares? But it changes the personality of a lens. So you've got some really cool looks that this sensor really will allow you to see a little bit more of that classic lens that you may have.
Do you have any recommendations or tips for people who do want to use those other older lenses? Because I know with some of the cameras on the market, you know, when those sensors get so big and hold so much information, and then you are using an older lens, while that older lens might be super high quality on a film camera, there may be some noticeable differences when you take that and put it on a very high resolution digital camera. So do you have any like suggestions or recommendations of how we might handle that, or just embrace those differences and that look of, you know, that kind of takes you back and gives you some nostalgia?
Yes. You
Okay,
want to
so
embrace
yes,
that
that's
look
part of it.
because
Okay.
it is what it is.
Right.
But you have to be careful the way you're focusing. 40 megapixels makes things a little tougher on focus, but the rangefinder's been redeveloped from the M10P on forward, because it's a little bit more accurate, specifically for the way these sensors are designed nowadays. So that being said, if you're good with the rangefinder, can focus properly with the rangefinder, it's not going to make you crazy. You're going to get what you would get with a film camera. Essentially, you're going to get that look on digital without having to scan.
Right.
But so they really have a personality. Each one has got their own little look. I mean, you guys have had some really cool lenses in the boutique that I've seen over the years coming up there that I've put on different M cameras and even on the SL2.
Right.
Even with the Visiflex, take the Visiflex and one of the, the centimeter lenses from the, the 50s. There's some cool stuff. And you look at the images and they're incredible. So these lenses were incredible in the 50s. They were incredible in the 40s.
Right.
They've just aged a little bit. So they've got a vibe to them. The new state-of-the-art lenses have a different vibe to them.
Right.
Didn't have
That totally makes
computer-aided
sense.
design back then.
Yeah, totally. All right.
I've seen some of the actual booklets that they have in Germany where it's all handwritten calculations. It's amazing stuff they've got in the museum.
Oh,
You guys
well,
ever
I'm
have a
sure. I
chance
mean,
to
and I
tour
know
the
that,
museum?
like when Ebby's been here, he's really talked about, because he's been with Leica for so long. I've heard him talk
Yep.
about the history. It's pretty cool to hear about. So,
Yep.
all right, for those of you guys tuning in, let's see. Someone's asking about the cost to add mounting threads to a 180 millimeter lens.
I'm sorry, the cost of what?
The
Didn't
cost
get
to
that.
add mounting threads. I'm not sure that's something we'll have an answer to for you. But
I believe you're correct. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah. So and someone's also asking about a digital back for a Leica Flex SL. So
Don't think that's going to happen. No.
Okay.
Well, we had the DMR. We had a digital back essentially for the Leica R8 and R9. So
Okay.
that was what we called the DMR. That was actually a pretty cool tool. That was neat to have, to be able to go back and forth between film and digital with the same camera if you wanted to.
Okay, cool.
But yeah. So no,
All
I don't
right.
think we're going to see it for the current Leica Flexes or the Leica Flexes you may have out there. But there is the one for the Leica R8 and R9 cameras. It was
Okay.
called the Digital Module R.
Okay.
And
Cool.
you can find them on the used market. The only thing you have to do is maybe get the batteries redone. They're old enough now that the batteries may not recharge anymore properly, but they can redo the batteries.
All right. So someone's asking, and I'm going to let you guys know, I have only used the Leica system a little bit. So some of the questions you're asking, I'm like, I don't even know what that is. So I'm going to ask it, and Ray's going to tell me if he's got the answer. So someone's
All right.
asking, is there a new VisoFlex in the works to pair with the new M10?
I don't know.
Okay.
They have not told us about a new Visiflex yet.
Okay. Totally fair. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. Well, I think, Ray, do you have anything else you want to share? Our questions are covered now from those that have come in. So my guess is we would probably wrap this up a little bit early because it's just now about 12:30. Do you have anything else you wanted to share while we're on the line together?
The only thing I could think of is I could show you some M10R images in Lightroom, if that's, or we can wrap it
Yeah.
early. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, let's look
What
at
do
a
you
few that. Yeah, you said you had just gotten the sample and you were going to have some time to go out and shoot with it.
which I haven't had. I just got it, so I haven't had a chance to
got
really
it.
go out and shoot with it. I was trying to
Okay.
trying to shoot with it, but we can try.
Okay.
But I do have some images that we did for the website from a photographer in the UK, which are pretty amazing.
Okay.
Let me just,
I think I might have
get
seen
Light-
some of those roll through on some of the social media assets that we received. But let's share a few of those. And I know that you talked about the specs
Let me
for.
just get Lightroom. I'm going to get Lightroom open while we're chatting. Yeah.
Okay. I
Go
know you
ahead.
talked about the specs for the Q2 monochrome.
Uh-huh.
One question that just came in was the difference in sensors between the Q2 monochrome and the M10 monochrome. Is it the same sensor, or is there a
No, they're
variation?
different sensors. The
Okay.
M10 camera basically shares the same design with the M10R. It's a 40 megapixel or 40.89 megapixel sensor, so it's a different sensor.
Okay.
The 47.3 megapixel sensor that is in the Q2 is probably the base sensor the Q2 monochrome sensor was manufactured from, but it is a different sensor with regard to the lack of a bare pattern, and then different micro lenses are put in place for the monochrome sensor to properly render everything from that 28 millimeter lens. And when you do a monochrome sensor on an M camera, like the M10 monochrome, you're doing micro lenses for different lenses that people are using. They're using M lenses. They're not using the one lens that's on the Q2. So then the micro lenses have to be different for the M10 monochrome.
Okay.
All kinds
Cool.
of fun stuff, huh?
All kinds of fun technical stuff that most of which is just
All
like
kinds of-
micro lens. I don't know what a micro lens is, but I bet the person who's asking these questions does. All right.
You seen Bart Simpson on screen here?
I totally see Bart Simpson.
Okay, good. These are some pictures that a photographer in the UK shot, and some of it was for some of it's for social media, some of it's just for the introduction of the camera. And he was just walking around shooting where he lives, and he's got some amazing graphics in his neighborhood. It's really kind of fun stuff. And great shadow detail, great highlight detail. It's really a filmic look to this camera, as far as I'm concerned. It reminds me of I don't want to say Kodachrome, but I can't quite say Kodachrome, but I can say a transparency film in general. It's just got a vibe to it that I think we have not really seen from the M cameras. It just gets tweaked every time we do a new generation sensor. There's something we can take advantage of in color science, in noise reduction, and everything else. So it's got some great, they're very minimal corrections on these files. You probably did a little bit of a vignette on this, and that's about it. Just some really pretty colors. It's got great detail. This kid's glasses are pretty amazing. Cool little glasses there. Just, powerful color. We're seeing powerful color out of this without much manipulation at all. Some of these are JPEGs, some of them are TIFFs. Most of these are JPEGs, I think, actually. Excuse me. Just some really very striking, renderings that you can get. The blues are fantastic. The M10R profile built into the camera and to Lightroom nowadays is really a pretty profile, especially with blues. Like any custom profile really enables you to record purples and blues differently than with no profile. So the profile built into the camera that's baked into all of our cameras, actually. Each camera's got a profile built into it that Lightroom sees. I'll show you real quick here. If this is a JPEG, I'm not going to see it at all. But you would see it under color here. You have these different profiles that would pop up, but there would be one in here for a raw file if there was one that it would say M10R. So this is in the develop module. I'm not going to go to full frame just in case it decides it wants to cut us out. So incredible detail here in the shadows. You can bring the shadows way up in this, the way beyond what you would normally bring them up to. There's just a lot of information in here. Not so much in this because this is a fairly compressed JPEG. I pull the shadows up. There's not a ton of detail, but there's a lot you can still pull out. From the DNG, you'll probably be able to pull out some deeper tonal range in here that you could probably print. Our current day. Just great information all the way around. That's at 100%. These files can take 400%, 800%, no problem. We don't need to, because if you're going to print, you're going to print at 100%. But I mean, because we can go into all kinds of levels. I can go into 1200% with the S3 camera now and look at pixels if I want to. But it's just got a vibe to it that is something that's really fantastic. colors that, well, we haven't seen colors like this in the sky, probably because nobody's driving as much as we used to. Just neat colors. That reminds you of something in your neck of the woods up there, but it's not. Well, this is one of the older lenses that Antonio shot, actually. This is the 28 Sumeron. Now it's telling me my internet connection is stable, so hopefully I'm still there. But this is his a couple of nieces running around the backyard. Very accurate looking. That's an M10R profile. I don't know if you can see this, but that's Adobe Color. Here's Adobe Landscape.
We see you good.
And then here's, yep. Can you see that? The changes at all?
Yeah, yeah, we got.
Okay, good. Okay.
I mean, it's, you know, it's a little bit. I mean, it's also hard to tell because we're looking at it on monitors here and all of that.
Everybody's got their own monitor, and you know, you got to fight monitors for color and everything else.
Yeah.
But the M10R profiles are all built into these, and just some incredible detail. Even running around, you know, shooting plants in his backyard. This is a pretty heavy crop, I think, actually. What is this? Yeah, this is a very heavy crop.
Oh,
actually,
wow, that is a. You just cropped out a little bit, just a little bit.
That's just a little bit, but
just
it's got the information's there. I mean, sometimes you just can't put yourself in the right spot to get the picture you want. You're across the street. I can't get where I want, but I can still shoot. I get the shot, but I can crop it. That's legal. I mean, I never thought it was a big deal. I worked with art directors who would crop stuff every once in a while, but you know, okay, you get used to it. I know we want to have our full frame. I'm not sure. This might be cropped also. No, that was not cropped. But anyway, this is some stuff that Antonio did. That's probably cropped. There's another big crop. Little base stamp. Very accurate color. I mean, I've got orange amplifiers myself, so I know that's what an orange amp looks like. Anybody's got one, you know. And I think that's his car. Good reds. Good Leica reds. This is an old 50 Elmar, I believe. It's not going to give me any exit date on it, but it's got a beautiful flare to it. That's another thing that's really cool about classic lenses. They flare differently. Some of the modern lenses don't flare at all. You really have to fight them to flare, but that's something really cool that I'm seeing in classic optics, or optics that are designed to be classic, like the Thalia line of motion picture lenses that Leica makes. They're S lenses at their base roots, the medium format optics for the bigger sensor film cameras, video cameras, movie cameras. But they've got a classic rendering to them, and a lot of that classic look is in the way they flare and the way their contrast is internally. There's some motion picture lenses that are actually made specifically for that, you know, older look that we would have in Hollywood. Everything with contrast was all done with filtrations in the black and white era and lighting, but they flared like this. Kind of a neat thing. This is probably the 50 Elmar. So he's got a 35 as well. He's got a 35. That's a very cool lens. That's a screw mount with a M adapter. Oh, and he's got a couple of his base. Yeah. He's got, you know, these are just it's great information even on the older lenses. And I think the 50, that's a 50 Summicron. All right, this is the 50. The first one is the 50 Elmar. Let me go back here real quick. The first one, pretty sure this is the 50 Elmar. No, it might be it's actually 50 Summilux, I think. That's probably correct data. No, they all say there's 50 Summilux. They're not. This might be the Elmar. This is probably the draws here finally. Oh, it's in the library mode. No wonder. A little slow. So they're all really good. So these are, I think the white balance was selected off this back wall. So we got a gray tone there. So they're all white balanced the same. But as far as the rendering of detail, it's all there in these lenses from different eras. So there's really cool stuff there.
Cool. That looks cool. Thanks for sharing those.
You're welcome.
I love that little bit of light on the guitar, and the one in the backyard where there was just that little bit of light. I love stuff like that. So
fun stuff. Yeah. I was trying to
All
find some
right.
stuff like that last night. I was walking around downtown. And it's just, there's nothing, nothing knocking me
Well,
out.
and here we're in rainy season here, so like I said, I was looking at my app and it said, oh, it's going to rain all day today. And I'm like, ah. And then I look out and it's sunny and the sun's trying to be out. So it's nice when that happens though, because I'm always looking for that kind of light, especially for street photography and those kinds of genres. So
Oh yeah.
it's a lot of fun.
You got reflections to do. You got all kinds of fun stuff.
Exactly. Cool. All right. Well, we haven't had any more questions come in. So what we'll do is we will go ahead and wrap the session up for today. I want to thank you so much,
Okay.
Ray,
you're
for
welcome.
being on with us. And we were finally able to get something on the calendar. It was cool to see and hear about the newest cameras from Leica. And with the Q2 monochrome, I'm pretty sure that is available for pre-order. Just give the store a call to make that happen and get your name on the list for that camera if you are ready to make that purchase. And just a reminder, Ray mentioned this already, but I will give you guys a reminder. Glazer's does host a nice section within our store that is a Leica Boutique. It's a dedicated space where we have new and used Leica gear. And we have a specialist in the store who focuses on that genre and working with Leica cameras and knowing that gear. So come in, check it out sometime, say hi, and all that good stuff. And just a reminder before we wrap up this session, we actually have another session this afternoon at 4 p.m. with Sigma. And then we have more programming this weekend and going into next week. So check out our website, glazerscamera.com/workshops for upcoming events and programming. And just another reminder, make sure you're on our mailing list so you can get updates on all the awesome holiday promos that will be going out via email over the next several weeks as we continue to talk about holidays and different promotions that are available. Some of those will show up on our social media feed too, but definitely you want to be on our newsletter. You'll get all the updates for everything that's going on, and we don't send your info to anybody, okay? Ray, thank you again. It was great to see you, even though it was virtual.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I miss you guys.
I know, we miss you too. We'll figure out another one of these probably sometime after the first of the year, okay?
We can do it virtually, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know. Hang on to that Zoom call for just 1 second, Ray, before we sign out. And for everybody tuning in, thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and we'll see you online a little later.